Am I back? Sorry, for whatever reason, I was losing connection. So part of the issue is that right now I bought this house a year and a half ago, and I haven't had a chance yet to go through and get the place wired with Cat 6. So right now I'm streaming over Wi-Fi, and you know, and unfortunately, my granddaughter and her fiance are staying with me as well. And whenever anyone uses the microwave, I lose connectivity from time to time. So please accept my apologies. I'm hoping I can get some electricians in, sometime over the next month or so. Um, so anyway, let's finish this off. Let's go kill the Quadrolux, and then the two Quadroluxes, and then yeah. Yeah, I've paid off a third of this house over the last year. It's been insane. Um, my goal for buying this place was I wanted to set myself up to retire. Um, so SiN 1, I probably won't do SiN 1. I don't have as many stories about SiN 1 aside from the fact that I was the guy who had to go through and do the texture edits for the SiN release. Quake 4 I was actually considering doing. Uh, it's an interesting game. And funny story, I I I bought the PC version on release. I was one of the only people at Ritual who did, um, because we were working on. But I wanted to have a I wanted to have a copy of the retail release. Um, but I realized that I didn't own a copy of the 360 version. So this last week, while I was out and about, I found a copy of Quake 4 for the 360 for $3. And I'm actually glad I managed to grab it because that's the only way to get Quake 2 on the Xbox 360. Because a remastered version of Quake 2 was included as a bonus on the 360 version of Quake 4. And if you're going to be playing Quake 2 on with a controller, that's the way to do it. But I may actually stream Quake 4 next. But let's go finish this game off. Yeah, Raven did the Quake 4 campaign. I actually couldn't have gone. I wasn't allowed to go because we were releasing the same week as um, we were releasing the same week. We actually had the full photo shoot with Bianca Beauchamp and whatnot released internally at Ritual, and I don't have my copy of it anymore. But yeah, Bianca did a great great job as the Alexis model, and It was one of Bianca's friends who had never done any sort of cosplay shoots, who was the Jessica model. But no, because we were releasing, I had originally planned on going to E3 on my own dime, but I was the QA manager, so I had to stick around for the release. So no, SiN was one of the few games where we didn't have to crunch. I remember having to crunch on the Quake 4 expansion, because we had to crunch on the Quake 4 expansion because we had to make some milestone payments. For a couple of them, payroll was dependent on us actually getting paid for the milestone. We crunched a bit when we were helping out with 25 to Life. If you ever have the opportunity to play 25 to Life, I recommend skipping it. The funniest part about that game is there are some well hidden adult jokes that were put in by some of the level designers. Um, yeah, so I've had to crunch on most of the games I've worked on in my career. Um, uh, I had to let's see here. My first ever crunch was Link's LS 1999 edition. Had to crunch on Link's LS 2000, Link's 2001. I did not have to crunch on Microsoft Golf 2001 edition. Um, I had to crunch on. I had to crunch a bit on Amped and Amped 2. Link's 2004 for the original Xbox. I was the test lead on an earlier version that ended up getting scrapped because of some management drama. But I had to crunch a little bit um, for that one. After AMP 2, I left games for a year and a half. During the last few months of that project, my wife came down with a staph infection, MRSA, and she had it literally ate away the inside of her shoulder. She had to have surgery, and uh, it was not a pretty experience. And Microsoft's insurance at the time didn't cover home nursing, which is what she needed in order to be able to recover. So I left. I left Microsoft, and then I worked for my hometown for a year and a half. When I got the opportunity to go start a QA department at Ritual, I took it. It was a you know it was an interesting experience. Um, I had to essentially abandon all of my social safety nets in order to go through and take it. And you know, looking back on it, was Ritual the best experience of my life? No. Um, was Ritual a good experience? Yes. And it was very, you know, Ritual showed me that when it's time for me to go through and open up my own game studio once I retire, I know what parts of the Ritual culture I want to bring in, and I also know which parts were extremely toxic and the parts that I want to leave out. I am still planning on going through and going back into games once I'm done. Um, basically, once I don't have to worry about things financially. One nice thing about where I'm at is, you know, working outside of games, you make a really, really, really good wage um, in comparison to being in games. Um, to give you an idea, I wasn't making all that great of a wage after after a decade in the industry, and one of the Dallas game devs actually offered me a job once I was no longer with Ritual, um, for a one-third pay cut. Uh, I'm glad that I left the industry. Um, I miss the industry, but I'm still glad that I left it. All right, let's let's do this. Just unlock this guy. So there's no armor system because they were trying to simplify the game down. A large part was they were trying to make things a bit more accessible. I think I'm actually gonna see if I can drop back down here and. Ah. No, really, the lack of the armor system was really just an attempt to simplify things down. The original SiN had a good armor system with its use of location-specific damage. Um, for SiNep, because we really were kind of trying to follow the Half-Life model in a lot of ways, your damage was not as location-specific. We could have added in location-specific damage on Blade, but we were already dealing with enough tunables as it was, and just adding in that extra variable of not just how much health, but how much armor you had and where that armor was would have made, the tunables on the dynamic difficulty system literally, you know, at least 4 times as complex as that system already was. Um, do I miss armor at times? Yes, especially when I'm getting my ass handed to me. But I understand why it wasn't put in. I believe you can. But it's a lot harder to kill something that's shooting at you when you've got a massive son of a bitch trying to close ranks with you. Could dual magnums have been added in? Probably. It would have been essentially a custom version of a. Where's my? I thought I had a couple more health things up here. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna cheat a bit. Oh wait, that's right. We put an item clip brush here, I believe. Let's just cheat a bit here. Admittedly, the dynamic difficulty system is going to be doing its best to help me out here because I let it reload. But yeah, if you save and if you quit instead of reloading your save, the dynamic difficulty system will not make things any easier. But if you click to reload, it will make things easier for you. Yeah, the chain getting dopefish definitely make this a lot easier. I think the solution for doing iron sights with this would have been with the dual pistols would have been it being a trade-off. You're trading off accuracy for throughput.